There was a scholarship opportunity that was going on at my school because I had received the email saying that you may qualify for a scholarship to the college on campus. The assignment was to write at least a 3 to 5 page paper on the history of the university. I ran across a janitor by the name of Charlie. And according to my reading and my research, Charlie was mentally ill. But he had a gift of cleaning. It said, according to the book, it said that he could clean just about anything. And he was mostly in his department was located in the science department. His tools and station, they was in the science department, and that's where he would do most of his cleaning. And that was the good news, that he just had a gift of cleaning anything and everything. Now the bad news is that Charlie had a bad habit of peeking through the vents in into the women's restroom, whereas he would crawl through the vents or peek in from the basement and watch as women, students, faculty, whoever would go to the restroom. He had a bad habit. There were several times where he had got caught, and they slapped him on the wrist and told him not to do it anymore. Apparently, he'll stop for a minute and go back to bad habits. Now, here's where it got interesting. In 1989, there was a party, I believe it was a graduation party, students gathering around in the science department. Not sure what kind of party it is, but it was some kind of get-together. There was a lot of students there. It was obviously overcrowded. And of course, in that type of environment, Charlie just simply couldn't resist. He was in the vent, watching through the vents in the women in the restroom. And apparently, what happened is that while Charlie was there in the vents in the basement, wherever he was that he was located in, the floor had collapsed because there was so many students in one place. The floor completely collapsed, and Charlie was somehow underneath it, or he was in a bad position. He tried to escape through the vents, but unfortunately, obviously, he was too big. Now, when I read the book and I read the research in the old newspapers that this appeared in, apparently there were minor injuries, with the students, faculty members, bumps and bruises, nothing real serious. But Charlie was the only fatality at that party, whereas he died in that floor collapse. When that floor collapsed, he died. When they found his body, and this was a few hours later after the party, they saw that it appears that he was trying to squeeze through the vent. The only thing that was able to fit was his right arm. That's the only thing that he could squeeze through the vent was his right arm. Other than that, he was just simply too big, and he got caught in that collapse. Now the thing is that they found his body. But his whole right arm up to his shoulder is missing. All his entire right arm gone, missing. They don't know where it is or what happened to it. Apparently, he was caught. He was dead on the scene, and he was buried, and funeral and what have you. Now, the thing is that once they opened up that particular building, that floor, the restrooms, once it was open and people started using the facilities, that's when the hauntings began. Whereas women were reporting that it appears that someone is grabbing them by their ankles while they're sitting on the toilet. And I'm like, ooh, that's kind of spooky, because the thing is, at first when I was reading this, I was like, well, is this some kind of joke? Is this a gag or something? And it sounded like something that a fraternity will pull, some kind of sorority or fraternities. Frat boys will, pull on their fellow students. But apparently this is very real, whereas there were women complaining that while they are sitting on the toilet, it appears that a man is grabbing them by the ankles while they're using the restroom. Ooh, that's creepy.